So we just took a look at the move behavior in the last video, and now let's take a look at move 2. And again, this is going to seem very similar to things that I explained in the accelerate and accelerate towards, and really it's quite the same. It's just the movement is slightly different. But in case you didn't watch those first videos, I'd like to take the time to really point out exactly what move 2 does. So create a new actor, actor 1, and we're going to double click on that, and we're going to drag move 2 inside the actor. So you can see, unlike move, where we had a little dial to choose the degrees in which our actor moved in, we now have kind of a x and y coordinate, x being left to right and y being top to bottom. And as I pointed out in an earlier video, it's important to try to understand where that x and y really is. And now a lot of that has to do with the device you're working with. Are you essentially creating an iPad game, which in this case I'm working with an iPad screen, which is 1024 pixels by 768 pixels. But you may or not know that. Maybe you haven't done a lot of work with iPhones or iPads or Kindles, so you don't know the screen size of each of these. And you'll kind of figure that out as you become a more accomplished game developer. You can look those things up online. But if you really want to know what your screen is, then you can just simply go over into the scene. So I'll click on the Scene tab, and you'll notice that I have this size arrow that I can click on, and I can see that I have 1024 by 768. So for instance, if you were developing, if I go back to the home button here, maybe we were developing for an iPhone landscape. Click OK, and we go back into our scene. Then if we were to click on this Scene tab again, now we can see that this screen size is 480 by 320. So it's a good way to kind of understand exactly how big your scene is. It's just simply click on the Scene tab and then open up the size, pull down, and then you can see exactly what's going on. But for this demonstration, let's just switch back to an iPad landscape because it's bigger to work with. Then we'll go back to our scenes. And now we understand how big this is. So how does that really help us with the coordinates? Well, again, as I pointed out in an earlier video, down here at the bottom left would be 0, 0. Okay? And here at the very top would be 1024 by 768, which would be our full resolution in height and in width. So if we want our actor to move from 0, 0, so I'll just put him down here in 0, 0, and we want him to move all the way to this top corner, then all we'd have to do is plug in those coordinates. And as I just pointed out, those coordinates are 1024 by 768. So we'll jump into actor 1, and we want to do a 1024 by 768, and the speed will be 300, and then we'll click preview. And you can see we go from 0 all the way to 1024 by 768, and then our actor stops. So also something that I pointed out in an earlier video that's really important is, what if you want your actor to just get to this point right here? Well, how do we know what those coordinates are? It was easy for me to know where 0, 0 is and where 1024 by 768 is, but what are the coordinates for right here? Well, a really easy way to figure that out is just drop an actor in the location that you want to learn the coordinates of, and then double click on that actor. You'll notice when you double click on that actor, over here in the left hand side in the attributes we have this position pull down, and I can see the x and y coordinates. So for this, the x and y coordinates are 322 by 489. So I'm going to plug that in, 322 by 489. So go back to actor 1, and we'll type in 322 by 489. And I can delete this kind of marker that I created. And now if I hit preview, you'll notice it'll move exactly to the area that we figured out. So that's very powerful, and let's take it a little step further. In an earlier video, we saw what we can use a timer for. So let's repeat using a timer. So I'm going to drag a timer into our actor 1, and here's what we're going to say. We're going to drag the move 2 down. So what I'm going to say is, after 1 second, I want you to move to this location. Well, actually, let's say 2 seconds. Move to this location. And let's click preview. So 1 1000, 2 1000, there's a delay. and then it moves to that location. So what happens if I duplicate this whole thing? So again, I'll hold the Alt or Option key, depending on whether you're a Mac or PC, click on the top of the bar here and drag it down. And now we have another timer with another move behavior placed in it. And duplicating all these rules and behaviors makes creating some really complex things inside GameSalad really fast. So let's say after, 5 seconds, I want you to move to another location. So let's say the 1024 by 768 location, seeing we know where that is. And let's see what happens now that we have two rules inside an actor. Rule number 1 says after 2 seconds, move here, and after 5 seconds, move here. And we can even change the speed. So let's have the first move really fast, so I'll just put that to 500, and then the second rule will make it move slow. And then we'll click preview. So let's see what happens. So after a few seconds, boom, it moves there, and then a few more seconds, then it moves there. So again, as I pointed out earlier, do not be deceived at all these boring little steps. They are actually really quite exciting, and what's exciting about them is that you're already learning some very complex behaviors. From earlier videos, how to destroy things, how to change sizes of things, and now we're applying rules to those things. So you can go back to those earlier videos, like for changing the size of an actor, and start applying some of the rules that I've already shown you, like using the keyboard to trigger an event, or have something collide into something else to trigger an event. And in this case, we're using a timer to trigger an event to move an actor around the scene. So maybe you have an enemy that's walking around and you want that enemy to move into different locations. Well, let's see, after 5 seconds, let's just do after 8 seconds. Let's move this back to 0, 0. We'll speed up our actor's movements a little bit here. So let's pretend that this is an enemy actor. I'm just going to move him out of 0, 0. And we want him moving around. So now we have set up this interaction where he moves from one location to another location and then to another location. And you can repeat this over and over and over as he's moving around to these different locations, and maybe your hero actor has to avoid this enemy that's moving around in all these different locations. So you can see how just applying some very, very, very simple behaviors mixed with some simple rules, you can already get very, very complex things. So take a moment to set this up and create an actor that moves around your stage at different times and intervals.